There is a new rumor going around, and it's not one that's very well known at the moment. In fact, I've only seen a handful of people in the pop culture space talk about it, but I wanted to address it. And that is, could Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars become a trilogy?
Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side.
Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to the StudioJake vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast and consider becoming a channel member. If you want to support me in the work that I do, head on over to my new website. The link is in the description of the video. It's studiojakemedia.substack.com where you can find even more pop culture articles. Okay, so this is completely a rumor, and you know me, I like to talk about rumors just for fun, and then at the end of the video, I give my thoughts on if I think that this is true or not. But this is a pretty big rumor that I have seen, and in fact, I say it's big, but it's really not talked about that much. And this leads me to believe not a lot of people are trusting this rumor. In fact, I've only heard Overlord DVD and maybe one other YouTuber discuss it. But it was just so compelling that I thought, I've got to bring this up. As a longtime fan of the MCU and someone who has consumed a lot of their stuff, even their terrible stuff, I wanted to weigh in on this. So, as I stated in the intro, no big dramatic pause. The rumor is that, in fact, there will be a third Avengers movie in between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret War. The concept behind this is pretty simple. Basically, what is happening is, with all the rumors of changes and a constant rotation of casts and even writers, that they are probably filming enough where there could be a third. Now, two versions of this rumor exist. To start, Marvel had begun filming this movie before a script was finished. They did the same thing they did with Captain America Brave New World and even with the Thunderbolts. In fact, remember the Thunderbolts got a freaking title change. It went from Thunderbolts to New Avengers. And yes, I know it was probably an afterthought marketing ploy, but still, they were filming a lot. Now, when it came time for Robert Downey Jr. to come to begin his filming, apparently he got to the set, saw the script that had been kind of patchworked together with all of the cast that they had gotten together, and he basically said, "This is ridiculous. This is a crazy script for Avengers Doomsday." And he allegedly threw it out. And he went to the writers of Deadpool versus Wolverine and went to them and basically said, "Hey, can you rewrite this script?" Because remember, Avengers Doomsday, it got delayed 7 months, and then Avengers Secret Wars got delayed another 7 months. So Spider-Man Brand New Day was supposed to be in between those two movies, but it looks like it might come out before. Who knows? But I really think that basically the core of this is that Robert Downey Jr., he came onto set, he told the Russo brothers who are directing the film, Joe and Anthony Russo, who also directed Captain America Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. He's like, "Hey, this script is garbage." Now remember, the Russo brothers came on board as the script was being written. It hadn't been completed yet. And he said, "We need to rewrite this." So they brought on the Deadpool Wolverine guys. That is also why Ryan Reynolds is now involved in the movie, because remember, he wasn't announced for it, but all of a sudden he is in it. He's brought them all together and he's going to rewrite the script, and they're going to just kind of use scenes that have already been shot, but there's also going to be some extensive reshoots. Apparently, the Russo brothers are just letting Robert Downey Jr. do this because he has been involved in the MCU. He was in the first MCU movie, so they're just letting him get his hands on it. So that's one version of the rumor, because they're saying as a result of this, because it's so expansive and they've already filmed so many different scenes. Even Alan Cummings said he filmed a bunch of scenes as Nightcrawler, and sometimes co-stars weren't even there. He just did it in front of a green screen. So because of this, they have all these extra scenes with X-Men characters, with the Fantastic Four, with other Marvel properties, that they just said, "Hey, let's just maybe put together a second movie." So that's one version of it. The other version is that they just realized that the story is too expansive for two films. Each film would have a runtime of over 3 hours, maybe even 4. We're talking Lord of the Rings level. So they have delayed Doomsday and Secret War in order to film like an in between movie, or maybe even divide up portions of Doomsday and Secret War to create a third film. And that's happened before. I remember there was an Exorcist prequel where that happened. They did a prequel to The Exorcist, but then the studio didn't think it was scary enough, so then they completely reshot it, and then they released it into the box office, and it did pretty well. So then they used the footage that they took from the original version and made it where it was kind of a pseudo sequel to that prequel. So a prequel and then a second prequel that they just tried to make look like an original story. So it's been done before. There is movie, or I guess you could say cinematic history, that could imply that that is going to happen. Those are the two versions. So one is Robert Downey Jr. comes in with the Deadpool and Wolverine writers, and they're reworking and retooling everything to get better script, and they're going to do some reshoots, and then that's going to lead to the creation of sort of a middle film in between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. And then the second version is they're just filming so much that the runtime is going to be so long for each film, they have to do an in-between film. What do I think about this rumor? I think it's definitely possible. We have seen movies that were meant to be just two films stretched into three. We saw this with The Hunger Games, which is supposed to be, three, it's a trilogy, and it was stretched into four. We saw this with The Hobbit. It was supposed to be two films, but it got stretched into three. And by the way, I'm not on the Hobbit hate train. I know that's a big deal. I'm just throwing this out there. I like the Hobbit films. I do think they were stretched a little thin, but I still enjoy them. Anyway, there is some prevailing sort of cinematic history that would insist that this could happen. And in my humble opinion, I think that it is a possibility that we will get it. Now, the question on which is the dominant theory, whether they're fixing things because Robert Downey Jr. hates the script, and in the process of fixing the scripts, there's going to be a middle film created, or do I think they're just filming so much that the movies will be too long and they have to do a middle film? Oh, that's a tough one. I have to admit, I tend to think that they are going to do it because Robert Downey Jr. is fixing things and they need an extra film either to fill in the gaps or to make Secret War make more sense from Avengers Doomsday. Who knows? I would tend to think that one is probably the more dominant one. I don't think that they've just filmed so much footage that it can be a third movie. I just don't buy that. Maybe it's true. Those are my takes on the rumor. So basically, I'm saying, yes, I do think there is going to be an expansion where we're going to find out there's going to be a third Avengers film. Maybe it'll be called Avengers Annihilation or Avengers Assemble, even though the first film was called that in the UK because they had some cheesy spy film that failed in the 2000s that was a remake of a much better TV series called Avengers. I think they should have just called it Marvel's The Avengers, like they did in the States, but instead they called it Avengers Assemble. More than likely, they need to pick the name of a popular storyline. So since Doom is the big bad here, Doctor Doom, Robert Downey Jr., maybe they call the first one Avengers Doomsday, then Avengers Emperor Doom, kind of like what they did with Age of Ultron, where it's the same name of a popular story arc, but then it's, just got the title, has a different context, and then Avengers Secret Wars. Now, I've talked about this rumor before. Apparently, there is a rumor that Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom actually isn't Doctor Doom. He's actually an evil version of Iron Man, or the superior Iron Man from the universe where Wanda and Doctor Strange and America Chavez, when they go to it and they have the Illuminati instead of the Avengers, and then Wanda proceeds to kill the men very quickly, but for some reason the women are able to have a longer fight than the men. Apparently, they're saying that Doctor Doom is actually the superior Iron Man from that universe, and he wants revenge for the death of his friends. And that Viggo Mortensen, because apparently he's in talks to join Marvel Studios, he is going to be the actual Doctor Doom, which Viggo Mortensen is a very talented actor, so I could see him pulling that off. Whatever. Point is, I think that, I think there is some truth to this rumor. We'll just have to wait and see. Who knows, though? It is just a rumor. Calm down. I'm just expressing my thoughts on it. If you like that video, be sure to give it a like, share it out to all your friends, leave me a comment to what you think, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. If you want to support me in the work that I do, head on over to my new website, studiojakemedia.substack.com. I have different tiers that unlock different perks, including being able to pick the topic for the website, and one where you can pick the topic here on the vidcast. Limitations apply, obviously, but that's pretty cool. So thank you in advance to everyone who does that. At that same website, there's a conveniently titled Buy My Book section. You can pick up one or all four of my books. I've got links all over the place, but they're all available on Amazon.com. Pick up one or all four and leave me a 5-star review. It really helps out small indie creators like myself. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake. And don't forget, I'm going to have a big announcement on Friday.